At Capitol Hill Village, our mission is to sustain and enrich the community of all Capitol Hill residents for the long term. This training is one of the ways in which our village enacts our core values of respect and inclusivity. We know that when people are treated with respect, rapport and relationships build, and services can be provided in a more appropriate, helpful, and competent way. We are also aware that discrimination and the fear of discrimination can harm one's health, well-being, and willingness to accept support. We don't expect you to be an expert in LGBTQ+ cultural competency after one video, but we will provide you with essential information and tools to respect and affirm others. The objectives for this training are to establish a common village vocabulary related to identity, gender, and sexual orientation to engage in meaningful and respectful conversations, to share tips and tools and have an opportunity to apply them, and to provide guidance for future volunteer needs. Washington, D.C. is home to residents of all backgrounds, which is part of what makes D.C. so unique. One aspect of this diverse community is our high percentage of LGBTQ+ residents. Many of our members have lived through multiple levels of stigmatization, including government discrimination and bigotry within their own family. It is unfortunate that there are many examples of discrimination we could discuss, but it's important to acknowledge this has happened as a part of preventing discrimination and discriminatory practices in the future. In addition to experiences with discrimination, some of our members have experienced traumas such as losing loved ones to the HIV epidemic. The HIV epidemic has uniquely impacted the current generation of LGBTQ+ older adults. We will never get the chance to meet many people from that generation due to their early deaths. All this to say, our members have a range of experiences that brought them to where they are now, and it is crucial to provide space for members to bring their whole selves to interactions with the village. We also want to acknowledge the important role that villages play as aging services providers. In the context of the aging services world, until recently, LGBTQ+ older adults have been considered invisible. LGBTQ+ older adults certainly exist. Statistically, we know there are at least 3 million LGBTQ+ older adults in the United States. So how do they become invisible? Many hid their identities or avoided accessing care due to fear of discrimination and harassment. Some may not have been able to afford care, or their identity or identities were simply never recorded. And their concerns and fears are valid. Many aging providers are still working on the basics of LGBTQ+ inclusion, such as providing LGBT cultural competency training for their staff, asking about gender or sexual orientation on intake forms, and having specific policies in place regarding LGBTQ+ older adults. Villages serve everyone. We can show LGBTQ+ older adults that we care and are aware that aging spaces have not always been or are currently welcoming to LGBTQ+ folks. By participating in this cultural competency training, you are helping to ensure current and future LGBTQ+ older adults can age with dignity and respect. Now we are going to provide a brief overview of terminology related to gender identity and sexual orientation. The terminology we use to describe ourselves is constantly evolving and differs from person to person. Staying informed about terminology demonstrates respect for members and volunteers. We have members and volunteers of all ages, so there may be generational differences when it comes to terminology. For example, someone may use a term to describe themselves that is currently considered offensive. This is distinctly different from someone using an offensive term to describe someone else. Hearing these terms, sometimes known as reclaimed words, can be off-putting or challenging for some of us. You are welcome to reach out to a staff member to talk through any terminology-related questions or concerns. However, it is important to acknowledge that everyone has the right to choose the language and words they use to identify themselves, even if we consider that language to be outdated or offensive. There can also be confusion when folks use terminology or identities that are new to us. In this situation, it is okay to ask a member what that term means, but you want to be careful about asking invasive follow-up questions. If they are not comfortable sharing, do not push them. Next, we want to note the LGBTQ+ acronym, which will be used throughout this portion of the training and explain why it is important. We use the LGBTQ+ acronym to refer to the community as a whole. This acronym denotes the distinct and individual identifiers folks use to refer to sexual orientations or gender identities. So, what does each letter refer to? The L stands for lesbian, the G stands for gay, the B stands for bisexual, the T stands for transgender, and the Q stands for queer or questioning. Lastly, the plus. The plus signifies the expansiveness of the LGBTQ community, so much so that we cannot fit them all into one acronym. One such term is same-gender loving, or SGL. This term is commonly used by Black and African American communities to refer to gay or lesbian individuals. There are several more terms we will not discuss today. This is where self-education comes into play. There are many amazing resources you can look into anytime you want to learn more about terminology. Now we want to dive into understanding identity, gender, and attraction. Let's start with gender identity. Gender identity refers to the gender or genders that someone feels they are internally. In the past, gender was strictly seen as male or female based on one's anatomy at birth. Today, there is a greater understanding and acceptance of identities beyond those two options. Some examples of gender identities include female, male, non-binary, gender fluid, and agender. It's okay to not be familiar with or overwhelmed by terminology. You're not expected to be an expert. As we noted earlier, it is important to establish a solid basic understanding of gender and sexual orientation because it demonstrates respect and care for others. We also want to discuss gender expression. Some of us may barely think about this, and for others it's very important. Gender expression refers to how someone presents themselves externally, such as through the clothes or makeup we decide to wear, what pronouns someone uses, and so on. It is important to note that some folks may not be able to express themselves externally. Some folks may fear or have experienced harassment, discrimination, violence, or worse, from others targeted towards their gender expression and may not be able to express themselves as they would like to. The last term we want to talk about is sexual orientation. Sexual orientation refers to someone's attraction or lack of attraction physically, emotionally, and or romantically to other individuals. Some examples of sexual orientations include straight, gay, bisexual, pansexual, and asexual. It is important to note that sexual orientation is distinctly different from someone's gender. These are just two aspects of what makes you, you. Now we want to provide a brief overview of pronouns and why they are important. Later we will run through some scenarios related to pronouns. Pronouns refer to personal identifiers, aka how we are to be referred to, such as he, she, they, ze, and more. We use pronouns constantly, whether we're referring to the cute dog we passed by on the street, the person that delivered our takeout, or our houseplants. Most of us have been taught to use just she or he when we are talking about or to a person, but not everyone uses those pronouns or any pronouns. Some people use they, ze, or other lesser-known sets of pronouns. Some people use multiple sets of pronouns. We recognize that at first it can feel strange or uncomfortable to ask about someone's pronouns or start sharing your own. This can take time and practice to get used to. The more we share or ask someone for their pronouns, the more it is normalized. It is important to recognize that we cannot assume what someone's pronouns are based on their name or appearance. Additionally, it is important to know that anyone, young or old, can identify anywhere along the gender spectrum. When we use someone's pronouns incorrectly, this can be harmful and can convey that you do not see someone as who they are. What's most valuable is taking the time to learn how to ask someone's pronouns, correcting yourself, and speaking up when someone says something harmful or transphobic. These are all signs of respect and affirmation. There are a few tips and guidelines that can be helpful when working with Village members. First, we always want to ensure confidentiality. By ensuring confidentiality, members will know what they share with you is safe with you. However, there are some instances when you will need to communicate with Village staff. For example, if a member is planning to harm themselves or someone else, or if there are instances of abuse. In these instances, we want members to know what they share with you will not be shared outside of the Village staff who need to know. A member might share something with you that they might not share with someone else. For example, sharing that they are a part of the LGBTQ community. Unless given explicit permission to share information, we should assume what you learn about members is confidential. Additionally, we mentioned earlier the importance of being respectful. But what does respect really look like? In this context, respect might mean asking appropriate questions. Asking questions is a great way to get to know members and begin to build rapport. Asking general and open-ended questions can help us limit assumptions. For example, you might ask a member, "What pronouns should I use when referring to you?" Or, "Who is someone that can help you with your computer when I'm not here?" In general, people will share with you what they feel you should know without the need for probing. We all make mistakes, so when those mistakes happen, let's discuss some tips for responding to them. First, acknowledge the mistake and thank the member if they let us know a mistake was made. Second, apologize. This can be something short and succinct. Third, think about what you can do in the future to prevent this from happening again. You might ask the member for ways in which you can do this, but be careful to not treat them as a personal tutor. Lastly, please use the village office as a resource. If you're concerned about a member or how a member interaction went, please give us a call so we can problem solve together. Here's how you can put these steps together in response to a mistake. In this example, I have just been corrected for using the wrong pronouns for another person. I might respond by saying, "Thanks for correcting me on your pronouns, John. I'm sorry I messed up. I'll do better in the future." Now, how do you respond if it's not you, but someone else who made a mistake or has not been respectful towards a member? First, we always want to validate and acknowledge with the member what happened. Second, we want to follow the member's lead. For example, you go over to help a member with setting up their new printer. While you are there, the member shares that they went to see a new doctor the other day, and they kept referring to their wife as their sister. While you might want to confront the doctor, maybe the member would prefer to simply get a new doctor. Maybe they want to simply ignore the incident entirely. The member's wishes on how to proceed are the highest priority. Just as it is important that our members are treated with respect, we also need our volunteers to be treated the same. You might be wondering how to respond if a member is disrespectful towards you. As a volunteer, if you're comfortable, you might want to share how you feel, why you feel that way, and offer a suggested change to the member. For example, you're driving a member to a doctor's appointment, and while talking about the news, they say that trans women should not be allowed on a women's swim team. If you're comfortable, you could share how that makes you feel and how that idea is transphobic. If you're uncomfortable responding that way, you could simply change the topic of conversation and speak to a staff member later. If the problem persists, if you feel unsafe, or if you just want to talk something through, please talk to village staff. We also want to provide a few additional tips for sharing or asking someone their pronouns. You can easily share your pronouns when you first meet someone. Another quick way of communicating your pronouns is if you have a name tag or pronoun pin, which doesn't require any direct communication. If you don't know someone's pronouns, feel free to just ask them what pronouns they use. If you need some practice, try writing out someone's name and pronouns, practicing with your friends, or try out pronouns on your pet. Next, we will watch two scenarios played out by volunteers. In the scenarios, you will see a volunteer at a member's house to offer tech assistance. As you watch, consider how the videos differ in terms of the volunteer input and how that input is received by the member.
Hi, my name is Sam. I'm a village volunteer, and the village started asking us to say our pronouns. So you can say she, her.
Uh, Sam, I'm Arnold, and here's my tablet that that's been giving me such a hard time. And I guess my pronouns would be he, him, and his.
Right. Well, so you mentioned on your phone that you need help accessing your photos. So look at all these lovely photos. Is that your brother? You look like you must be so close.
Uh, yeah, I want to know where to find the photo icon, so I can pull up pictures whenever I want.
Great. Well, let's get started. So here is your photo icon on the home screen. And you also wanted to use your computer for telehealth appointments. Do you want to use the Chrome app for that?
Um, yes, I do. I've had so many of those telehealth appointments. Uh, I can never find the Chrome to access it.
Well, here you go now. You have two icons on your home page, the photo icon and the Chrome icon.
That's great. You know, I used to love my doctor, but lately, because my husband goes with me, that he seems to disregard him.
Oh, your husband? I didn't realize.
What do you mean?
Just saying it didn't occur to me that you had a husband. But anyways, I'm glad your home screen is set up now. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Sam, and I'm a village volunteer.
Hi, Sam. I'm Arnold, and my pronouns are he, him, and his.
Oh, I forgot to say my pronouns. I use she, her. So I was told you need help with making it easier to access your photos. Wow!
Yeah.
Look at all these lovely photos. Who's with you in so many of these? Is
That's
that your friend?
That's my husband, Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry. I assumed it was a friend. I need to be more careful with my assumptions.
That's okay. We've been together for about 15 years.
That's fantastic. Well, here's your photo icon on your desktop. That should make it easier to access your photos. And you said you also wanted to use your computer for telehealth appointments. Do you want to use the Chrome app for that?
Yes, I do. I've had so many telehealth appointments lately, and it can be very hard figuring out how to access that.
Okay, well, now you have two icons on your homepage, the photo icon and the Chrome icon. Do you know how to access your telehealth appointments once you see the Chrome icon?
Well, I've had trouble finding that app, and it's been really difficult. You know, I used to love my doctor, but now that I have been having my husband go with me to appointments, my doctor seems to totally disregard my husband.
I'm sorry to hear that. That can't feel good for either of you.
Yeah, it's awful because my husband is coming to help, and he's treated rather rudely. So I've even thought of looking into changing doctors or finding a new good one.
That makes sense. Have you thought about asking the village for help on this? I hear they have a vetted vendors list, and that might be of use to you.
That would be great. I'll call them after you leave.
Perfect. Or if you're not comfortable with that, I can go to their office and ask for you if you'd like next time I'm there.
That would be really great. And I'll definitely give them a call too.
Great. Well, now you have the photo app and the Chrome app, and I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to helping you again soon.
Thank you.
As you can see from the examples presented, it's crucial to any volunteer task to be thoughtful and respectful. Can you think of areas in the role plays where things went well? What about where they didn't go well? You might have noticed the volunteer introduced themselves, supported the member through a concern with their doctor, and worked to correct an assumption made in the visit. The skills we're discussing are transferable to all aspects of life, not just at the village. However, it's important that you know at the village we have a team of staff to support you. Make sure you know a village staff point of contact to discuss this video, any questions you might have, and other resources available to you. Thank you for watching, and thank you for volunteering.